Well, thank you, Mr. Churchill. It's great to see everybody today. It's a wonderful first day at Liberty. I have something that I just came to my mind, and it's because look at all these kindergartners, brand new students sitting here in the front row. Here's what I'd like to do from first grade all the way back. Okay, let's follow these instructions. It's kind of fun. Maybe you can do this throughout the year as well. So follow my instructions. Don't do it till I say. We're going to give them a round of applause really efficiently. So I call this the Liberty clap. So the round of applause is one clap, everyone. Let's practice first. Okay, everybody? Nice. Okay, so let's just welcome our kindergartners by giving them a Liberty clap. Everyone? There we go. Nice job. Thanks. It's great to see you. Look at them all sitting in a row. You're nice and quiet. Welcome to Liberty, you guys. This is a great place. You know what? Why don't you just look way back there in the back at those sixth graders way back there. You guys are going to be just like that before you know it. Okay, sit back down, eyes on me. We're going to see the fifth graders again. All right, let's everybody pay attention. We're going to talk about these flags. These are called Guidons. You all know how to say it, but let's practice with kindergartners here. Let's all say it once, Guidons. Okay? And this is what they're called. Now, Guidon is a French word, and it's about these flags. It means to guide home or to bring home. That's where the word comes from. But these traditions go way back for hundreds and hundreds of years. The idea of a guidon is associated with kings and queens and religions and churches and all kinds of groups. When you see old photographs or usually old paintings or old drawings about knights on horses, and they're often carrying a big elaborate flag. And the idea of the guidon is that each one would be really different, that they wouldn't all look the same. If they all looked the same, it would defeat the purpose. And the purpose is this: to help you find your group and to help identify what that group is as it passes by. So a guidon from a particular castle would look different than all of the other guidons from all of the nearby castles, so that if you saw some knights or some officials or some people from a particular castle marching by or riding by, you would see the guidon and you would know exactly where they come from. So that's by way of identity. But they also are used in battle in the medieval days when there were the battles with swords and clubs and things of that sort. Eventually, in a battle like that, it's chaos, and you need to regroup and find your group or find your team. And what you would do in those days is you would look around the battlefield and find your guidon, and you would go back to it, and that's how you would reorganize and regroup. And as battles became more and more complicated with fire and smoke and bombs and so forth. Let's say the American Civil War. In the American Civil War, when you get disoriented and you need to find your group, you look for your guidon. The military still uses guidons today, and so there are squadrons that use guidons, and that's how they identify themselves when they're marching through a field or graduating, or maybe just in front of a big crowd and a big audience. When you see the guidon that belongs to a particular group, well, then you know that's who that is. So we have our guidons here at our school as well. And last year we used them for the very first time. And each guidon has its own name and its own identity, its own colors, and its own color pattern. And then on each standard, we've tied on ribbons and all kinds of awards. And the idea is that not only do we have a guidon that identifies us and tells us who we belong to, what classroom we belong to, but we add to it all kinds of awards for good things that we do in the school. And so by the time you get into sixth grade, my hope is by the time you finish the sixth grade is that this thing is just loaded up with all kinds of awards, because at the end of sixth grade, you're going to leave it in the school forever, so that years later when you bring your kids to Liberty, you can point up and say, those three guidons were in my class. Well, see, for you it's going to be two. Those two guidons were in my class, and those are all the awards we won when I was a student here at Liberty Common School Aristotle campus. So we're going to hand these guidons from class to class as you move on. They stay with you. Okay? So when you kindergartners are in the 6th grade, you're going to have the same 3 guidons that will be with you then. So here's what we're going to do. Since 6th graders lead the way, I'm going to ask all the 6th graders, well, not all. I'm going to ask, let's go in order here. We're going to hand these guidons ceremoniously. We're only going to do the ceremony one time here, and then in later years, we'll just pass them in a way that the school will do as your principal and assistant principal decide you would like to do. So first, I would like, let's have, who's in the back row? Mr. Huey's classroom. So Mr. Huey, can you come forward and let me ask the 6th graders in the back row to stand up. Whenever we hand a guidon off in a ceremony like this, it's kind of a formal ceremony, and we're going to hand them off one by one, and I want the 6th graders to show everybody else. Look back there, kindergartners. You're going to do this someday. This is what it's going to look like. You're going to do this today. So let's start with, the one I was, Securitas, right here. Let's start with Securitas, which means confidence. So I will hand this to Mr. Huey, and Mr. Huey can walk back to with his group, and when he comes back, you can sit down, and then, and so there you go. There's your guidon for the year. Yeah, you can clap. Okay, once the guidon makes it back there, you guys can sit down. Mrs. Balfour, why don't you come forward? And her class, please stand. And this is, these are hard to get out. There you go. This is, I'm reading it backwards, abundantia, which means plenty or abundance. So congratulations. Take good care of that guidon throughout the year. Mr. Bradley, why don't you come forward, and all of the 5th graders please stand up in Mr. Bradley's classroom. The Dignitas flag stands for dignity. Take care of that and add life to it. Mrs. Grove, please come forward. 5th graders in Mrs. Grove's class, please stand. The Industria flag, that is a symbol of hard work. There you are. Miss Webb, why don't you come forward, and your 4th graders please stand. The Moderatio flag is, there we go, is one that, let me make sure I've got it right. That stands for restraint, moderation. There you go. In Mr. Ronan's class, please stand. Mr. Ronan, come forward. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Pudicitia, okay. Which is a wonderful flag. That stands for perfection, or no, do I have it right? No, it stands for modesty as well. There you have it. All right. Miss Kelly, why don't you come forward? Liberalitas stands for liberality, or the generosity in giving. Yeah, 4th graders in her class, stand up. There you go. There's your guidon for the year. And Miss Scarpella, why don't you come forward? Stand up. If you're in Miss Scarpella's class, please stand up as you receive your guidon for the year. Take good care of it. Gravitas stands for gravity, or just like importance. Okay, Ms. Schmidberger, why don't you come forward, and everybody in Ms. Schmidberger's second grade class, please stand. The Firmitas flag. There you go. The Firmitas flag is an important one as well. It symbolizes tenacity. You guys take good care of it. Mrs. Peterson's second grade class, why don't you stand up as Ms. Peterson comes forward to receive your flag. The Perfectio flag, it stands for perfection, which we all strive for. There you go. Thank you. Take good care of that. That is a big goal. Okay, Miss Binion's class, Nobilitas. Why don't first grade, Miss Binion's class, please stand. There you go. That's not the right flag, is it? Make sure I got it right. Nobilitas. Here we go. There you go. There you go. Flag that stands for nobility. Take good care of that and add lots of decorations and awards to it. I am off here. What do I have here? This is Mrs. Campora's flag. If you're in Miss Campora's class, please stand. Patientia, which is patience. Good job. There you guys. And Mrs. Hall, if you're in Miss Hall's class, please stand for the Amor flag. This Guidon stands for love. There you are. Okay, kindergartners, if you are in Mrs. Kirkman's class, stand for your flag. Mrs. Kirkman's class. You've got the genius flag. Okay, kindergartners, let's look. Here, let's look at your flag, kindergartners. There's no decorations on it yet because this is the first day of school, and so you'll get awards, and pretty soon it'll look like all those other ones with ribbons and awards. So let's load it up with awards this year. Ms. Kinnegee's class, if Ms. Kinnegee's class can stand up, Ms. Kinnegee can come forward. Anestas, which is respectability. Here we have, there you go. There's your Guidon. Keep it with you forever, wherever you go. And finally, Mrs. Clean's class. This is the Libertas flag. Stands for freedom. So there they are. Okay, now, students, a word on how to take care of these and how to use them. Your flags, your Guidons, are a point of pride. When you get selected, if you're like the line leader, or you are selected because it's your day, or maybe you earned the right to carry your Guidon for a particular day or a particular time, you carry it with pride. You hold it high. Don't let it touch the ground. And the most important thing for me, well, holding it with pride and using it to identify your class is important. They're not toys. So I don't want to see or hear about students using them like swords, or fighting with them, or playing with them, or being wild with them, or waving them in a crazy sort of way. Use them for what they're intended for, so that your group knows where it's supposed to be, so your line, your class knows where it's supposed to be headed, so you know where you start, where you're supposed to stop, And then when they're in your classroom, they're good for everybody else because we can tell when you're in your classroom, we can tell when you're on the playground, we can tell where you're in the lunchroom. We just look for the Guidon and it tells us which group is there. So it's really important for just helping us know where we are and where you are. We can see that. So use these Guidons with pride, use them with great responsibility, and by the time you leave at the end of your 6th grade and leave them in the school, this should be a symbol, this should be a statement that you can be really proud about, that you added some real credibility to it and some you added some character to your Guidon in your year that's represented on it about your years here. All right, I'll take just 1 or 2 questions, but then so you go first. Go ahead, real loud. You just carry it up high? Yeah. Yeah, it's best when you carry it straight up. So let's look at some of the teachers are doing just an excellent job of showing how you carry it. You just carry it about like that. Don't hold it too far to the front or to the back or to the side. You just want to hold it straight up so everybody can see it and know where they're supposed to be. Does that make sense? Yeah, thank you. That was a really good question. All right, last question. You have a question? Why did Liberty decide to do a 6th grade? That's a good question for me to finish on here, okay? Liberty decided on a 6th grade because Liberty actually decided to go all the way to the 12th grade. So we have 13 grades. 1st grade is the first. Kindergarten is before the first. So there's 13 grades, really. But the last grade is called 12th grade. And so in order to get from the 5th grade on your way to the 12th grade, you have to finish 6th grade. Does that make sense? And we have a lot to teach in the 6th grade, so we're really excited to do that. And we always planned on teaching 6th grade here. We already teach 6th grade at the Plato campus, and so 6th grade is a really, really important part of just going to Liberty. Okay? That's an excellent question. All right, with that, I'm going to hand the microphone back to your principal, Mr. Churchill.